p.m. Note that there is a quorum present with all 5 commissioners, and that all due notices have been posted. And so we'll move on to item number 2, which is prayer and pledge of allegiance to the United States and the Texas flag. At this time, I'll ask our chaplain here to lead allegiance in the prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for all the men and women involved in Smith County ESD2 and those they serve, and be with the first responders who are out there serving others. Protect them, put a hedge around them for their safety, emotional and physical well-being. Be with them as they respond, help them to serve others to the best of their ability, and just keep them safe. Give us the courage, give us the knowledge, and give us the wisdom to do your will in all that we do. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Item 3, recognition of guests and special presentations. Well, let's see. We have Commissioner Pam Frederick here from Smith County. She's here. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Jim Spire from Christus EMS, and then representatives from UT. How are y'all? So, anyway, I don't think there's anybody else here. No. Larry, you want to introduce your new guy while we're
This guy.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Brock Taylor.
All right.
Pleasure working with you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. All right. Move on to item number 4, which is public comments. Any individual may sign provided form or request permission to make comments to the board concerning matters that are relevant to the business of the district. The time limit for each person's comments shall be 3 minutes. The maximum time allowed for the public comments section of the agenda will be 30 minutes. The board may not deliberate on items or matters not listed on the agenda. And do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Your first one's going to be Mr. Jim Spire.
Okay, Jim?
Good evening, boys. Jim Spire, Christus EMS, and Flight for Life. And I'm here to say thank you to everybody. This is primarily going to be addressed to the firefighters, but it's EMS week in Texas and across the nation. And in honor of EMS week, we realize that our fire departments and police departments are just as important as us, and we could not do our job without them. So we have invited, and I hope everybody's received the flyers that we sent out. We've invited y'all to come out for this evening from 7 to 9. Come by Christus Trinity Mother Frances Hospital across from the Heart Hospital. We got a large tent set up there, and grab yourself a big baked potato and a drink. We'll be doing that tonight from 7 to 9, tomorrow from 11 to 2, Wednesday from 7 to 9, and Thursday from 11 to 2 as well. And then on Thursday there's from 11:30 to completion, there's a little awards deal that you're invited to as the fire departments as well. So I want to thank you for helping us, and hope to see you grab a spud and eat a dinner. I'll leave our flyer up here if anybody wants to take a picture of it or anything.
Okay, Jim. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Frederick, would you like to speak now, or would you rather wait for the agenda item?
Oh, now's fine.
Okay.
I'm Pam Frederick. I'm County Commissioner Precinct 1, former Mayor Bullard. First, I want to say thank you to all of the people here. I want to thank you to your board. I've been a big supporter of the ESD from the beginning. I was involved in local government when the Emergency Services District became an issue. And so I've been there from the beginning with you. It's my understanding that it's on your agenda tonight to discontinue support of the Flint Gresham Fire Department, the old one, the one we call abandoned. I don't know, after talking to Chief Stone a few minutes ago, it may be less abandoned than I understood. But I wanted to make sure that this board, I know that you have nothing to do with the 99-year lease that it's under, that was signed back, I think, in the 80s. And I know that you don't have any influence on the disposal of that lease, but I want to make sure that this board understands the opportunity that our community has for that building. If there can be an agreement made and that lease can be released, then we do have a private donor that wants to invest at least $100,000 anonymously in order to expand the current baseball facilities. They want to improve the building. They want to make it look much more attractive on the outside. They even want to expand the size of the building, and they want to turn it into indoor batting and pitching cages. So there's currently one, as I understand it, one of those at the baseball facility back behind the building we're talking about. And it's just not enough. They're constantly having requests for those to be used. And this person would like to do that for our community. And I think it's a fabulous opportunity. I think my understanding that some of the uses that the current older fire station is being used for, we might consider moving those to a different facility and allow our community to have this for a quality of life. So I just wanted to kind of make that public and make sure that you as a board understood that opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. All right. We have no other public comment. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is our consent agenda. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll, requests for reimbursement, requests for other payments, transfer of funds, and amendments. Under 5.1 is our payment of bills for various vendors, or we can take them all at the same time, or we can really break them out one at a time.
Yeah, I'll have comments together.
Well,
I'll make a motion to pay our bills in the order of $750,278.84. Pay our credit card bills of $26,461.47, and our contract payments of $143,491.99.
Motion by Commissioner Thornton, if we pay our bills under 5.1, will be an amount of $750,278.84, under 5.2, with a total of $26,461.47, and under 5.3, contract payments for a total of $143,091.99. Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other discussion or question? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And that motion carries. Item number 6, approval of the minutes of the last meeting of April 24th, 2023. I looked them over, they would be true and correct to the best of my recollection, unless anybody else has any questions or comments. If not, I would entertain a motion that we would approve those minutes as written.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 24th, 2023 meeting minutes.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thornton that we approve the April 24th, 2023 board minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. Item 7, Executive Director's Administrative and Financial Report. Mr. Eric.
You have the written report, so I will just cover a few highlights. We have taken delivery of the gently used pumper, a couple of pickup trucks, and we placed orders for 2 more pumpers. So a lot of apparatus have been delivered, and we are awaiting more come July, August timeframe. We have contract extensions included with this board meeting for approval, and we have brought hard copies with us for once the board presumably approves, or president can sign those. We are working on the final stages of the implementation of the 457B optional retirement plan. And right now, the only thing that's holding this up is that I have asked for a written agreement from the UBS Financial Services, the local office, to state on paper what services they are going to provide for our firefighters. There have been 12 new firefighters and 2 new lieutenants have started. They are on a 2-week training, and I guess they should enter into the normal rotation here within a week or so. Moving over to the financial, we have the sales tax and investment income. We are fortunate that those 2 revenue streams are continuing above forecast. We should pay attention again to overtime that has creeped up a little bit again in this most recent month, so we need to keep keeping our eyes on that. The amended budget, which was approved in last month's board meeting, we have uploaded and posted on the website, so that is public. We have started the fiscal year 2024 budget planning, and we're going to have weekly meetings now going forward until we start engaging with the board on a more regular fashion to have the board buy in on some of the proposals we have presented. The audit is in progress, and everybody is pretty much involved in the audit right now. And that's really all I have for this monthly report, unless the board has any questions.
Do we know why the overtime is creeping back up?
There has been injuries and sickness amongst the troops, so I think the overtime will come back down again once these 14 new people have been brought on the board completely, so they are engaged in covering shifts.
All right. So, about the financial, that you already got that too, and your statement of activities.
Well, I have one more point under the financial report.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is really that right now, with the apparatus purchases that were approved, we are scheduled to be about $860,000 over budget for that particular line item. And we are hopeful that that will be offset by lower expenditures under the real estate line item. So those will most likely offset each other. So we can stay within the total expenditure on the budget without having to rely on any surplus revenue. So that's the one thing that was worthwhile covering.
So under that program on apparatus, last month, did we fund the apparatus purchases?
The budget amendment did not include that, no, sir.
Come back and make another amendment for that.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
I don't think we had committed the total number at the time.
We did not at the time we did the budget amendment.
All right. So, financial reports. I guess you've already been through all that, or do you need to go over that?
No, that was really my own comment about the over budget for the apparatus.
All right. Then we'll go to item 9, fiscal year 2023-2024 budget and tax rate calendar, discussion review only, no formal action required.
Yeah, I wanted to include this so the board the commissioners could take a look at the time schedule and see if this will work with their plans. And just shoot me an independent email and let me know that it works. There are 2 sheets based on 2 different assumptions as far as what the new tax rate is going to be. Whether the new tax rate will be equal to the no new revenue, which is sheet number 2, or if the tax rate is going to be in between no new revenue and the water approval rate, in which case it's the top sheet, the sheet number 1.
Of course, the big thing about that, we won't really know which one we do until we get something from Mr. Barber that tells us exactly what our taxable revenue or taxable values are.
Yeah, but plan for the one that's going to require most of your days, I would
Yeah.
suggest.
I know you and I had the conversation, or the last time we met, I told you it's probably better to try to have those on Saturday because everybody's working.
And that's what this one shows too.
Yes, yes, it does. So that's all we need to know about that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, item 10, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on service provider contract extensions and allow the board president to sign any related documentation. So this is
The contract is, I have 11 hard copies here at the board.
all right. Yeah. Since the attorney that's working on it, they haven't got a deal, so we just decided to extend the contracts till, what was it, September?
September 31st.
Yeah, and that way, nobody's under a lot of pressure, so, I'll entertain a motion if we want to extend that.
Make the motion that we'll authorize the board president to sign contract extensions on behalf of the district, extending those through September 30th, 2023.
We have a motion by Commissioner Donahue that we authorize the board president to sign the contract extensions on behalf of the district till September 30th, 2023. I have a second.
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 11, Director of Human Resources report. Sherry is sick, so I think Eric is going to try to give her a report.
Yeah, you have the written report, and I'll just do 2 highlights from the report here, and that is that Sherry is taking applications to refill the eligibility list for future firefighter positions, and it is a little bit sluggish in getting applications compared to previous periods. I think she's up to 20 applicants so far, and compared to previous cycles when at this stage it's been around 40, 50 as I understand it. So we are a little concerned that we're not going to get enough to fulfill the requirements. UKG continues to be somewhat difficult. So one of the solutions we have is that towards the end of this fiscal year, when we present the budget and potential adjustments in the pay scale and so forth, that we will combine that with a new salary structure whereby how we compute the hours and so forth. And we've done some calculations, and it's not going to impact negatively or positively the firefighters in terms of the take-home pay, but it will conform to what UKG is used to handle from other firefighter departments. So that's one of the things we're working on as well. That's really all on 11.1 that I have.
360 evaluation quote.
Yeah, the one we recommend is the Perform Yard. One concern I had with this was the confidentiality issue. because I didn't want anybody to give a review that's supposed to be completely confidential, and then having the HR person know exactly who said what about who. So that was the concern that I expressed, and Sherry has gone back to all of them and confirmed that it can be set up so everybody will only see in aggregate. There will be no, unless you say something that will clear
You
up.
only see the comments, and you won't see who made the comments.
Correct. The only person that will see who it comes from is a board member, if a board member so desires. Other than that, it will be completely confidential. And the price for the one that we are recommending is $4,200 per year for a 3-year contract, and it allows up to 40 seats.
So should a board member need to know who the comment came from? It will be a open request to this board for board approval. It won't be a single request from, I can't come to you and say, I want to see it, and you let me.
No, the board will have to make that
Okay,
decision.
I just want to make sure it's clear that it's not a single person that can actually do it. It has to be a board action.
Right.
So we're asking for the board's approval to go with the perform chart too and get that implemented.
All right. Entertain a motion on the recommendation from the executive director on the 360 evaluation.
I guess I'll ask you the difference between the Perform Yard and the Track Star. You know, as far as the number of seats, the Track Star is by far much more economical offering.
Sherry preferred the look and the feel of the website and so forth, so that it was much more intuitive. And we're not even going to get to use 40 seats the way you have planned this, since it's only going to be the highest officers in the organization.
So anybody else look at it, just see if they concur with their preference.
If I have not looked at them individually, no sir.
If we don't like to say that we make those decisions based on preference.
If the board wishes, I can look at all 3 of them myself and confirm that I am happy with it.
If there was something else distinguishable about it other than just, like I say, it's a stated preference, then I guess I'd have a tendency to go ahead and approve it. But under these conditions, I mean, even though we're not going to meet the quantity, it's, I still think we ought to look at it, you know, make a determination. So, whether it be you or somebody else, but get some.
No, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
I'll be happy to.
Let's get somebody else to look at them and see, and make a recommendation to us. Appreciate it.
So we'll table it and then take it up at the next board meetings?
Yes.
Would everybody like to do table it next meeting?
Yep.
All right, we'll table that item until next meeting then, when we have more information. Safety reports.
So- Eric asked me this morning to kind of step down on this one. There were, for the month of May, so far there have been 3 turned in. The first one on the list, the hood, so far we've pulled those hoods out of service and are looking at them. They've been given new hoods. What happened is they were making an interior attack and their ears got a little too hot, so we're looking at those. Number 2, the second one, as the response states, phase 3 hiring that we have ongoing, the orientation is going to help us with that. So the solution is already in the works. And then the third one, the channel at dispatch, I dug into this one, and it was the dispatch supervisor misunderstood what was going on with the actual call and provided direction to the dispatcher that was counterintuitive to what we were needing on the fire ground. They have addressed that, and it's not going to happen again. So.
I got a question about that second report there. Well, first and second. The first one about the Nomex hood failure. Have we figured out why the Nomex hood failure? Are we not getting the right kind of?
We're working on that as we speak.
Okay. Because I certainly don't want any of our firefighters not having the adequate equipment they need. I mean, if it's a design flaw or it's not a good company or whatever, then, we need to do that. And then the second one, is that a structure fire or what kind of fire was it? Do we know?
It was a structure fire.
So, let me understand this. Structure fire is a box alarm, 3 departments, but we don't have enough people.
That is correct. Based on what I'm reading here, yes.
So we looked into it other than just what's been written here.
I personally have not, so we're still looking at it.
I would like to know exactly how many people were on the scene and what the deal was. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it needs a little more look into,
Yeah.
on our end. So,
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
we'll go at it tomorrow.
So, and I'll ask you, Chief, Strickland, do you actually get copies of these whenever they come in?
The emails, yes.
Okay. But we've had an opportunity,
And I'm sorry, I've been on, up until today, I've been on half days light duty, coming in the office, so I've just now started back full time. So I have been getting the emails on that and reading those as they come through.
I'd just like for us to have, this received on May the 8th. We should have been able to look into it, most especially this situation. And this could potentially be a recurring situation. So it needs to be looked at and understood what really happened.
What the real cause is.
Yep.
All right. So I guess we're through there. Item 12, Director of Support Services Report.
Commissioners, good evening. Item 12.1 will be speaking on the Jamestown property. We have a contractual requirement to get a fence constructed along our new property boundary with the previous owner. We did put out an RFP, and below you is the only response that we received that was qualified. And of course, they're below bid because they're the only response. We contacted several companies to look at this. Most of the fencing companies in the area don't do barbed wire fences. Most of the farmers do that themselves. So finding a company that had adequate insurance coverage and was willing to do a barbed wire fence, job is small, proved challenging, but in front of you is a recommendation to move forward. I have a completed funding request, recommending that comes out of capital.
And we're not considering putting up a privacy fence after we build.
It is quite possible that that becomes something that we do as part of the station construction, but the contract specifically states a barbed wire fence, and the number of strands, and the size of that. So in order to comply with that contract, this is what we have to do.
There was a hidden cod in the soil in the papers and nobody told anybody about.
On the very last page.
There's got to be a 6-strand barbed wire fence, the T-posts no more than 10 feet apart.
I think it's a 5-strand, but yes, sir, something like that, 5-strand barbed wire fence.
I couldn't remember exactly,
Certain
it had to be
spacing,
so many strands. so-
drill pipes on the corners, and
Yeah.
it's pretty specific.
Make the motion that we approve the funding request for not to exceed $6,400 for construction of the fence.
Motion by Commissioner Dominic to authorize the fence, Jamestown property by Marasco Land and Cattle, cost not to exceed $6,400. And second. Okay. I think Charles will beat you, but by Commissioner Wilson. So, any other discussion or question? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say nay. And Motion carries. 12.2, discuss, consider taking any action on the decommissioning of the Old Point Gresham Station 1. Who's going to speak on that?
Commissioners, I'll start, and other people can jump in as necessary. This is a recommendation that initially started through the building advisory group, and has been sent up and got signed off on by everybody in support services, operations, and our executive director. We're moving it forward towards the board now for official adoption. This would be the ESDs recognizing that that facility is removed from our control and utilization, and recommend that we cease paying for any and all activities, including insurance, utilities, and remove any assets that the ESD may have placed at this facility. You have to answer any questions.
Do we have anything there?
We do have some technology equipment there, and there's probably some other equipment that is there that does belong to the ESD.
But it's installed there, and it's a part of the previous operations. Is there any apparatus or anything like that that's still in there?
I do not believe there's any apparatus there. There may be from time to time an apparatus that is stored there, but there are other facilities that can be stored at.
Of course, anything that we've attached to walls, that's a stage.
Other than security stuff. no,
Yeah,
so
right.
we'll take all that stuff.
Right.
We'll take switches and network equipment,
Yeah.
printers, that kind of stuff.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson that we follow the recommendation and decommission the Old Point Gresham Station. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Horton. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. 12.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the repair of the Nitro Power Unit.
Commissioners, there's a funding request in front of you for this repair. This is a necessary piece of equipment. We don't have a backup that's available to be used long-term for this. Our mechanics looked at this, found that it was outside of their scope, sent it off for repair, and this is the quote that was received back from the manufacturer.
Where did this unit come from?
I do not know, sir.
Which department?
I think the one came from Chapel Hill, if I'm not mistaken. When we got our new hydraulic hers tools, I donated one of the hydraulic, or how much we had 2 of them.
Okay, this your unit.
Yeah, I gave it to the shop.
It says the funding request that is the one you want to rescue.
I think that's where it's currently at. I'm not sure. So I think this unit, like Chief Chapel Hill said, it did come from Chapel Hill originally and was transferred out to Wyoming. The shop has recommended that we get it repaired. They believe it's got life left in it, and that it's in our best interest to repair it other than replace it.
It's $3,431.22 to repair.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to do the repair on the Nitro Power Unit for $3,421.22.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy that we repair the Nitro Power Unit for $3,431 change.
22 cents.
Yeah, 22 cents. Have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other discussion or question? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 12.4, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the purchase of a capstan voice for IT at a cost not to exceed $6,000.
Commissioners, this was a planned purchase. It was a budgeted item. This is for a hoist that mounts to the back of the vehicle into the receiver ditch. It allows us or IT to lift objects to the towers pretty easily and safely. It's got a attachment on it so that if they let go of the rope or anything, it doesn't come plummeting to the ground. Much safer than the way that we're manually lifting, and I highly recommend this purchase. Make it easier and safer for our staff. I I'd recommend that we move forward with GME. GME includes free shipping. The low bid Midwest did not take into account shipping on the quote, but the actual shipping came back at $782.31. So the low bid is GME.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff to purchase a capstan hoist and kit for the low-cost bidder GMB supply at a cost not to exceed $6,000.
Motion by Commissioner Gordon to buy the caps and hoist and the other equipment to go with it, not to exceed $6,000 from GME. Is that right?
Yes.
Have a second? Second. Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. None motion carried. 12.5, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the purchase of a lightning protection system for the fleet antenna tower at a cost not to exceed $9,000.
Commissioners, when we construct these tower sites, we always start with the bare minimum we can do on lightning protection. That consists of a lightning rod at the top of the tower. If the tower proves to be a problem tower, such as the one at Fleet, we take it a step further. And we're actually at our third step of this process, which is a pretty in-depth lightning protection system. It involves mounting what they call STTs at the top of the tower to actually try to prevent the strike from occurring in the first place by equalizing out faster. We had a company come out and take a look at it and quoted this on it. This company is capable of doing an actual engineering study, doing all the ground tests, and doing a really in-depth analysis, but this was their recommendation to start with, because this would be their first step. And they recommend that instead of paying an engineering fee to come out, to go ahead and start with this. If we still have continued issues, then to have them come out with an engineering survey on the soil type and see if we need to install additional ground rods at other locations. This tower has been struck a lot. Our last storm that came through, we recorded 7 lightning strikes to the tower in a single day. We had no damage out of that event, but we have had 5 instances of lightning caused damage to equipment. The last one actually caused damage all the way into the facility, which is pretty rare with the protections that we have in place, but it's an indication of massive, massive strikes to this tower. It is a 400-foot tall tower. So unfortunately, this is kind of where we're at. We try to get by without having this equipment in place, but at this point, it's definitely time to put it in play.
It is the tallest tower in the world.
Yes, sir, it is.
What's the estimated cost of repairs today?
We are probably close to $5,000 in estimated repairs, plus the downtime is caused by that.
I'll make a motion that we approve funding request cost not to exceed $9,000 for the lightning protection system at the fleet antenna tower.
And the motion by Commissioner Dominic to approve the purchase of the lightning protection system for the tower at the maintenance facility, not to exceed $9,000. Have a second? Second. Have a second by Commissioner Thornton. Any other discussion or question? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 12.6, discuss, consider taking necessary action on roof repairs for Red Spring Station 1 at a cost not to exceed $38.50.
Commissioners, you have 2 bids in front of you, one from ASAP Roofing and one from Avco Roofing. There is quite a bit of difference in these bids. We've used ASAP now twice in the past and had good results out of them. Avco is telling us it needs certain equipment replaced on the roof that ASAP is saying at this point is just fine. There is a difference in the warranty as well. Avco is a 2-year warranty. ASAP is a 1-year warranty, but it's both only on the work that they perform. So if there's a leak in a different area or they can attribute the leak to a different problem, then neither one is really any good. So I recommend that we move forward with the low bid and go with ASAP Roofing to get the leaks repaired.
I'll make that motion, go with the Larry question.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, that we entertain the bid of $38.50 from ASAP Roofing for the repair on Richmond Station 1 roof. Have a second? Second. And a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discuss, consider, and take any action on air conditioner repairs for Ridge Spring Station 1 at a cost not to exceed $4,850.
Commissioners, Ridge Spring Station 1 is listed as a temporary housing location, shelter location. It's required to have 2 AC units, one as a primary and one as a backup. The backup is a mini split unit that's installed in the lower story day room. It's over 10 years old at this point. It's Mitsubishi, and it's very hard for them to get parts on. Some of them they're waiting upwards of 6 months for. The recommendation of our AC contractor is to go ahead and replace that unit as parts are becoming more and more difficult to come by. And our AC work is done under a master service agreement, so only a single bid is required.
One question here, does it include labor?
It does, sir.
Just includes parts and material?
He said that is the total installed cost, and I can clarify that with the other issue.
So 4850 is a turnkey job.
Yes, sir.
See what brand he's going to install?
He did not, sir. Green.
2-ton green.
Gree is the brand, I believe.
Maybe a sub like American Standard is for training, I don't know.
Yeah, Gree Comfort. There's, we have some of those installed at the plant station, I believe, as well.
Any history on having a lot of problems with it that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the cost to allow master service agreement vendor to perform necessary repairs at Red Springs 1 and the amount of $4,850 to replace the AC.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton to allow master service agreement vendor to perform necessary repair to Ridge Spring Station 1 to replace the air conditioner at a cost of $4,850.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Is there any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. 12.8, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on purchasing a second refrigerator for White House Station.
Commissioners, in front of you, that funding request is below the $2,000 rule. The reason for that is we've already purchased one. Purchasing a second would have brought us over that total. So we stuck with purchasing one and putting in this funding request for the second. They are in need of an additional refrigerator at that facility, and we recommend the purchase. Although it's not much of a sale, it is a little bit of a sale. And Don's is the low bid.
So you've already, was there initial request for 2? Have we purchased one, or did we purchase one?
The initial request, sir, to my office was 2. We purchased one because that was under the funding and we had to get them something. They only had a single refrigerator for the 12 people that are working out of that facility. So we purchased one. And purchasing a second would have put us over the 2,000. So that's why we brought the second to you for approval.
I'll make a motion to accept Larry's request for White House for the second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, refrigerator at the White House Station from Don's TV and Appliance. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Have any other question or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, 12.9 is your monthly report, Larry.
Yes, sir. I think we have just one more action item after this. Commissioners, y'all have my report in front of you. I'm not going to go too far in depth. A couple of things that I'll mention is the OpenGov procurement module is coming along very well. That's the module y'all approved last month. And to make a clarifying statement, I think there was some confusion last month in the purchase of that, where we thought that was included in the original. I think there was some confusion on what exactly this module was. This is not the PO system. We've been in place in that for a while. The procurement system allows us to place bids out, RFPs and RFQs, and solicit responses. The procurement module normally takes 6 months to implement. We're implementing it in about a 45-day timeline. It's a very accelerated program, but it's proven to be well worth it already. I was able to get about 4 RFPs developed in a single day versus what would have taken me about a week per. So it's drastically increased my productivity, and there's a lot of the ability to share information between agencies that are in this platform. So it's really good for us. And I believe it's going to increase the number of responses that we're getting as well. So I'm pretty excited to get that in place. Other than that, the repairs to Troop should have been completed today from their water leak. We ended up having to select 2 different vendors. The board had approved a single vendor, and we were actually able to split that out and go with 2 different vendors because that vendor did not respond in the adequate time, and the 2 separate vendors actually brought it below the board's approval requirement. So we were able to save some money by splitting it out and basically being our own contractor. So that has been completed, and we now have a vendor that we will probably no longer do business with because this is the second time.
Question, why was he not able to complete the job?
We've had this situation twice with the same vendor, and every time it's my subs can't, my subs don't, my subs won't. It's just getting the subs to come out and get their job done. That may be the case, but we've got to have responsive contractors.
I agree with that.
So we canceled that PO and we split it out to 2 separate vendors and just done it ourselves. And we saved a little money, a little more heartache on our end, but we did save a little money.
All right.
Does the board have any questions on my report?
Talk a little bit more about your job order contract.
So this is something that I'm going to bid out and bring back to the board to see what our feasibility is on this. This would basically be bidding out to retain a general contractor for all the little admin jobs that we cannot accomplish. Things like this, for instance, where instead of placing an RFP out, soliciting bids from 3 or 4 subcontractors to get a single job done, that we would basically have a contractor that's gone through an RFP process that would handle that for us to try to speed up the efforts of getting that complete. So just looking at feasibility, there's a few things that I'll run that way and run the numbers and do a cost benefit analysis and bring back to the board for action.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? With our buying of our bulk stuff with the logistics, are we seeing some savings with that?
We definitely are going to see some savings year 2. Year 1, we did a lot of bulk purchasing. We actually probably spent a little bit more this year, but I think we're going to see drastic savings next year. Even the ability to take on additional facilities without increasing the cost associated. Along that, the Jamestown project is progressing along. We are in a receipt of 6 RFQ responses for a construction manager at risk. And we hope to present those to the board after we move through second phase and get to a short list of 3 for the board to select from, potentially at a special call meeting or the regular meeting next month. And of course, I'll have an update for you on property at a later time.
All right. Any other questions for Larry? 12.10, discuss, consider taking any action on the purchase of uniforms for Wynoke VFD members. I guess that's your.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, this is a pretty easy one. Winona VFD is in need of uniforms. This was within their uniform budget allocated, and our logistics manager has put together this funding request and a quote from our vendor to move forward with. Recommend y'all approve this item.
Motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dommy that we purchase the no-make uniforms from FR Girls for Wynoke VFD at a cost of $5,531.50. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion or question? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. All right, 13, Chief of Operations Report. I guess, JD, or I guess we're going to do it.
Yeah. So in your packet, you have the statistical information that we provide every month in regards to the types of calls and the participation. And then you also have the board report along with the training calendar. So as Mr. Edstrom stated earlier, the Impel, the Pearson Impel is currently, Chief went and picked it up along with Hunt Crowley and brought it back. The Spartan's been ordered, the Enforcer's been ordered, the Tahoe's have been ordered, and the halftime pickup trucks are here and they're currently waiting for equipment to come in for the outfit. New hire orientation is ongoing daily. We don't have anybody deployed at the moment, and I met with the adjuster for the Blocker 1 accident a couple of weeks ago. He came out and took pictures and has passed that up the chain within their company. His words to me were there shouldn't be any problems here. There's no reason that we're not going to take care of this because it's obviously the fault. So I'm just waiting to hear back. I sent him an email Friday requesting an update. He has not emailed me as of right now. So we keep plugging on him to keep that moving along. Chief asked me to go to the Volunteer Firemen's and Firemen's Association meeting to do a presentation over the long range meeting we had here a few weeks ago. Did that while he was out of town. We're also leading the process for the service provider contracts. We've got ongoing meetings scheduled for the next few weeks as we tackle the individual things in the contract. We're going to take them individually and go over it. Chief Strickland, as he stated earlier, he has worked his way back to full-time in the office. And we're glad to have him. In the training report, there's one item in there that sticks out a little bit as a community wildfire protection plan. Currently in discussions with TFS on how to put together a community wildfire protection plan. It's a pretty big deal. There'll be a lot of PR with the county involved. We have some significant risks when it comes to the wildland urban interface. So we want to go ahead and start trying to push that out and really work on it. So that's a good thing that Chief Clanton kind of led the charge on. We got everybody in the room, so we're there, and then the training calendar is on there. Do you have any questions?
You have an update on, I know the truck's over at Pierce getting everything done to it. Do we have an update? I know I talked to Mike the other day, and he said that they had already done a complete oil change and everything like that. Have they got the gauges and got them installed or what?
I do not have that information in front of me. I'll get you an answer tomorrow.
That'll be fine. The quicker we can get it in service, the better off we're going to be. That's my only concern. All right. So 13.1, if you want, or are you finished with everything else?
Yeah, on the report, yeah, unless there's any other questions. Okay. 13.1, discuss, consider taking any necessary action on the command officer's professional development initiative. So this particular request is for myself, Chief Strickland, Chief Murillo, and Chief Clanton to take Fire Officer 3 and 4. Chief Clanton has already taken 3. He just needs 4. The rest of us need fire officer 3 and 4. The class is in Flower Mound. The date, it's a two-week thing, with fire officer 3 being 1 week, fire officer 4 being the other week. We would come home for the weekend in between. So the dates total, September 11th to the 22nd. The classes are $400 each, so it would be $2,800 for us all to take the class. Lodging not to exceed $4,000, and I shot that a little high for, based on hotel room rates, any extra fees that may be on there. And then GSA rate per diems of $2,481.50 for a total of $9,281.50. These classes are going to be very important for us as we go forward in our professional development and growth and all of those things. The money is there in the budget.
Training budget.
Yeah, it's in the training budget.
I'll make a motion that we approve the command officer development phase 1 for $9,281.50.
Motion by Commissioner Donnie to approve the fire officer training phase 1 in the amount of $9,281.50. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion or question? How often are you offer that?
A couple of times a year, so there's,
Because I know some of our other battalions, chiefs probably need to go through it also.
yes, we just didn't want us all to be gone at the same time.
That was another one of my comments. I hate all my command staff is gone for 2 weeks. You know, got one guy here pretty well taken care of, but he's got some good battalions, so. All right. Hear any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, discuss and consider and take any necessary action on fire chiefs presenting and discussing issues with the board for future actions. Chief Arnold from Marvin.
Got 3 things.
Okay.
During the recent storm we had the other day, day crew went out on a call. I responded back to the station, and in the deluge that came down, the gutters have never been repaired since Snowmageddon. And you could actually tell where the water and the weakness in the gutters were. So that's something that I need to let Larry and them be aware of. And we're going to probably, I went inside the building, we don't have any leaks or anything, but there is gutter damage that we need to put on for next year. So that's why I'm just bringing it to y'all's attention now.
WRL never came back to fix those gutters.
They were not going to do anything with it. But I remember Terry said they refused because it was the snow event that caused it, not their construction. Okay. And thinking about that and going into long range, I was sitting back there thinking, any of the chiefs have any requests for the next budget? You need to start getting them on paper, writing them down, getting them to JD and everybody so that we can see if there's some needs out there that are going to be needed by the volunteers or for your stations. But they need to be in writing. That way we have them when we go into long range and we can go over it real well. And then the other thing, and hopefully JD's been working on this, but I'm going to put it on them. I want to get Station 2 and Station 3 out of the volunteer fire department's name and into the ESDs. They got the deeds somewhere up there. Hopefully you've been able to find them. You hadn't found them yet. You're still going through it. But I would want to get those out of our name into the ESDs. That way there's no conflict eventually, and it's y'all's, okay? Well, but y'all got to do all the answering to the tax assessor and collectors. Now, Mr. Dominic, you have anything you want to?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. It's a pretty good month for April. We had 102 incidents. We didn't miss any calls. We did have a couple of one-person responses. I went back and looked at those. They were during the part-time hours of the day, so I haven't been able to go back and verify why we only had one person at the station. I don't know if we had somebody that had to leave early or came in late or what have you, but they were medical calls that weren't missed. They were still responded to. But as far as training and activities that we have going on, we have one of our paramedics that is going to finish Fire Academy in the next 3 weeks. We had 3 members go to Lufkin last week for the Wildland Academy, brought back some more certifications for the district. And we also have 2 new members that just finished Fire Academy that just got voted on. They're actually coming to us from Troop. They're going to do a run with Troop and Bullard. But they were interested in getting in on some of the overnight staffing that we do. We will be at one of the local schools tomorrow. It's last week of school, so we're going to do some fire science with some of the elementary kids and kind of keep them busy, have some fun with them. And then finally, we had a local organization called Camp Gladiator that came and donated a pallet of water and Gatorade to the Bullard Fire Department. They also donated some to the White House Volunteer Fire Department as well as Tyler Fire. And then we also just were notified that we received a grant to get a pallet of water from Anheuser-Busch. It's going to be canned water, and that came to us, the opportunity came through the NVFC, the National Volunteer Fire Council. But other than that, I don't have any new activity for Bullard. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you.
We've been having busy as well, most calls. I did look in these 2 missing, or 2 reports missing, or no response. One was happened to be, day crew was already had started on a major, I was going to go to this wreck, but the second one, major one, even worse than that one, came in, so they veered off and went to one that had a fatality in it, and Jackson picked up the other call, so the report did not, I guess they didn't take Chapel Hill off that report, so there's no respond to that from Chapel Hill. And then the other one was, it got canceled immediately before we can get out to the station. And I didn't know until all of a sudden that then that report's no longer on. I couldn't even get to fill it out because it's no longer on response master. I don't know where it went. And the same thing with some of these, one response call, you see one actually is a duplicate call. I'm still having problems with the duplicate calls. On this, as well as filling out the reports. There's 2 of them being filled out. We fill out one, somebody else fills the second one. So now we got 2 reports same way again. That's open. So I don't know if there's got to be something got to be done with these reports. I'm having a lot of trouble with my duplicate reports. It needs to be done. So that this was trying to stop some of this reporting not being done right, or one being done, not being done in a different direction. Especially when I got 2 departments coming, one will fill one out, we found a different one, now you got 2 reports open, and you can't get done. So, hopefully there's a way we can figure that out. Other than that, we had, I did a water day today, actually at Chapel Hill Elementary School, so we did have fun with the kids. I also did one to a church out in 31, working in our community, showing support there. I got 1 new member just put on the department, and I have also 2 more new ones just fill the application, so again that's in the process of getting application done. I had 1 firefighter completed his TCFP, so he's completely ready to go. And I also got 2 right now in their firefighter 1 class doing that as well. And then I also had 2 of them completed the officer training class online. So I got guys, we're doing a lot with training, so I'll keep them up. Yes. You got any questions?
Good evening. I don't know if y'all heard, but we had a pretty bad wreck in our district Sunday morning. At 3-person fatality. The car caught on fire with 3 of them in there. The guys from noonday did a heck of a job showing up and taking care of business right quick. Dixie was second on scene, and then Flint Gresham showed up behind them. I don't know who was dispatching that morning. Do you know who was dispatching?
No, I'm talking to them. It's Jennifer Long. Connell, it's her mother.
Okay.
I've already talked to her about it.
We need to really keep that person dispatching in our thoughts and prayers, because they were on the phone with the people in the car while they burn up. And, you know, that's got to be rough to sit there and listen to that. Everything at Dixie's going okay. Staying busy. Still working on trying to get some more recruits. Still got 3 people that hadn't committed to the drug testing. Still working on them. But everything else is good. Any questions?
So you had 3 that have not submitted, or 3 of your people you have already?
Right.
That won't move take?
Right. One of them said she's not going to do it. She's kind of a support person, so I've talked to her, and we're going to have another discussion. It's kind of one of those deals, you're going to sign it or not participate. This is what we're doing.
Out of 13 on your roster, you have 6 that are not active this year.
Right.
You gotta get that cleaned up.
One of them on there is Michael Grimes, and I've already sent them a thing saying he works for ESD. He's not on our roster anymore. He used to be on our roster, then he went to work full-time for ESD.
Yeah, I would encourage those people that are up for their random fit, that's what they'll take.
Right.
They'll take that.
Yeah, I've been hit twice. They've only had 2, and I was hit twice. Yes, sir.
So anybody that's not willing to go, we need to start the process of taking them on.
Right.
We wouldn't tolerate it with anybody else, and we're not gonna tolerate it here.
Right. I agree.
And I understand Sherry said if there's some reason for work or something like that, she'll work with them to try to get them done. HR department doesn't pick those people randomly, they pick them at the line.
Right.
So, I heard yours came up twice, but it's just random, but when you don't have that many people to
That's right.
choose from, you may come up twice.
Yeah. Or 3 times.
Right. Thank you. One question. Yeah, go ahead.
What would you like to start with? The old station or the report?
Where do you want to start?
We'll start with the report. The report that you got in front of you has some errors with it. For example, Richmond Crumpton is on there. He's never been a volunteer with us, and he's a paid staff right now. I don't know why he's on there. So I'm not sure what the validity of the data that's in front of you is. We have been looking at some reports. We've got a number of issues on reports that are being submitted in our department right now that are including personnel that were not on shift being put onto reports, volunteers being left off of reports, apparatus being left off of reports, people being assigned to apparatus that they're not part of. So there's a variety of issues that are happening there, and we're going to be gathering up some information and having a review with leadership in the ESD to try to get that corrected. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in those numbers right now. On the station, I fear that the decision may have been a little bit premature. I know that the board made that decision, but I fear that it may end up costing the taxpayers more money in the long run. We have been having a lot of discussions within the Long Range Planning Committee, as well as with Chief Greaser and others in the ESD operations, about the need to have volunteers at the stations 24 hours a day, or working, on shifts, not working, but you know what I mean, being up there available for calls so that we can get apparatus out, tenders, brush trucks, secondary engines, as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, in the Flint Gresham District, the only facility that we had that was available for us to put personnel in on the volunteer side was Flint Station 3, or the old Flint Station 1. The new station that was built does not have the facilities necessary for us to have staffing there on the VFD side. There's only 4 bedrooms and there are 4 paid staff. And Flint Station 2 has no facilities for it. There are no bedrooms there, there's no kitchen, there are 2 bathrooms, but it's going to take a lot of money, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars,
to either expand the new station that we have or renovate Station 2 if we're going to meet the goal that Chief Reeser has for us of having personnel up there able to take apparatus out as quickly as possible. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. Any questions? Okay.
Somebody here from Jackson Heights?
Yes.
Terrence, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back here.
I'm waiting, but I'm here. Excuse me.
I apologize for that.
It's all good. How's everybody this afternoon? I participated in the Wildland Academy that was at ARP. We did have a community barbecue that we did participate. The kids enjoyed seeing the trucks out there. We have accepted the command truck trade-off. So we do have the older captain's truck for our newer truck, so we have accepted that. Just like Flint stated, we do have some people on our roster that are paid staff. Don't know how they ended up on the roster this week. So like Richmond Crumpton, he's on my report too, so he's paid staff now. We have several others on there too that are listed as paid staff. We do have some missing reports, but they're tied to other departments, so we're still being flagged for those. I do have one report that they have requested to be canceled, and I do have that with me to pass that on to IT. Y'all have any questions for me?
Anybody volunteer or step up and join?
Okay, we had some banners that were made a while back. They got ripped. So we got one of them fixed, and it's up at Station 1. We've had one phone call since it's been put up, and we hope to meet that person on our June 5th meeting. Any other questions?
At least you got a phone call.
Yes, sir, got a phone call. We have two banners, one for each station, but the other one has ripped through the holes, so we're gonna have to get it repaired or get another one made. Okay.
Write that down.
Any other questions for me? Yes, sir. Okay. We do have a community organization that I did attend the meeting last month, and they are much involved with what we're trying to do. So they have requested that we put letters out at the churches again. So we're working on that also. All right, thank you.
Monday? Rich Brain? Chief Mahler?
Well, we had a fun day with the kids. I think it was last Thursday or Friday, where we took one of the trucks up to the school and sprayed water on them, got them all messed up. They enjoyed it, and we did too. I don't know what that one no response is there. I'll have to look at it. But everything's been going pretty good. I have a question for Larry. Have you heard anything on our door there where the rescue unit sits?
Marla called me this morning on that one, and she's supposed to be sending a ticket in. I don't believe I've seen that ticket yet.
Well, I talked to somebody last week about it, and
Don't put a ticket in for us?
she was supposed to put it in.
Yeah, she did not until this morning. So I talked to her this morning on it, and she was going to put in a ticket this morning.
Okay. Well, we had a wreck Friday and could have used it. But that's the one that they fixed, but it's broke again. Other than that, I got one of my newer guys that just got out of the academy, Joe Nix's son. He got his EMT, so he's got his certification plus his EMT. I had two of the other boys that had graduated from the academy. One of them I got to have a visit with, and the other one's real good. But other than that, it's been just running and trying to keep it up.
The door was broken out, just going to repair recently.
I didn't hear you.
So you said the door that's currently not working has just been repaired?
Yeah, they came out, looked at it, put a new code deal on it, and it worked for a day or two and then quit.
We should be able to get somebody back out there right away.
But it's the one where my rescue truck that I traded the ESD out of that van in that stall, and I can't get it out. And that door's too dang heavy to try to pick up from the inside. Yeah, it's stationed across the tracks. Anything else?
All right, Chief Champion, White House.
Everything's been going good in White House. Got a couple of reports that are open. They've been started. One of them is due to the fact, the biggest one, it's 11 days old now. It's due to an MBA that we had. In that MBA, when DPS, when they finally got on the scene 3 hours after the accident, his computer in his car wasn't working. So we didn't get our report from him, and the still staff, 48-hour staff's waiting on that report. The only other thing that we got going on this coming up weekend, we got Memorial Day weekend. Volunteers, we're planning on Saturday, Sunday, Monday running the boat on Lake Tyler. So that's about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one on I had like 3 no responses. One of them was a cancellation. We got paged, respond to a medical call. 5 minutes later, the lady called back, said she don't need us, so we got canceled, but it got submitted as no response instead of, canceled before responding. And other 2 we're investigating that. We have 6 one-person responses. Some of those are medical calls. We meet the ambulance there. And then the blocker a couple times had to go to assist Red Springs or another department on the road. We have 2 new members and 1 pending in. We had a lot of reports earlier this month, but we got it down to 0 today. Missing reports, 0. Okay, on training we had last weekend. Captain and a battalion come out and assist Winona in our smoke out the station with air pack zone, hose deployment, and like a RIT team going in and find them. And that turned out really well. I appreciate the help. We had 3 first people go to the wildland class that Art put on last month. And all good. Currently, if y'all hadn't heard, I know y'all have, our blocker got hit this past weekend on Interstate. It was like the last truck in a line of 6 fire trucks and DPS units. And he was just parked and he had deployed the Stinger, but before he could get out of the truck to deploy the cones, a car hit him. So currently they have it at ESD2 shop getting looked at. It don't look like it's total, but it's up to Mike. We do have a rental blocker in Station 2 to run with. Y'all have any questions?
So the blocker got hit, he was fixing to get out, put the cones out, but.
Yes, but we had 6 apparatus and DPS units in a row, and he was the last one there. Yeah. Yes, sir.
No action shall be taken while the board is in closed session, and final action, final decision, or final vote shall be taken at the board reconvenes in open session. And we are in closed session at 7:20.